Another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd today. We always greatly appreciate it. On this Thursday evening, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. Y'all gonna have to walk with me for a minute while I let the dog inside the house. If I don't, he will bark throughout this entire video. So bear with me for a minute while I let the dog in the house, and then we'll get started on tonight's video. But tonight we're going to talk Heisman Trophy. I was looking earlier today at the 2026 Heisman favorites list. Now, I found a list that included like 50 names, but I narrowed it down to, I guess you could call this the top 10. More than likely, one of these 10 guys is going to win the Heisman. I'll talk about that. Let me bring up two things I heard earlier in the week, because if you follow me on this channel regularly, you know that when I'm wrong, I tell you I'm wrong, and when I'm right, I like to tell you that I'm right. I even did a video back, I guess, January or February, where I talked about all the college football teams I did a preview for last year and predicted what their overall record when they finished would be. And I talked about all the ones I got right and all the ones I got wrong. So I'm not one of those people that only want to remind you when I'm right and don't want to talk about when I'm wrong. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. I mean, heck, I'm a married man, so I'm used to being wrong all the time. But I've always said that I'll never understand the conference talk. The conference stuff makes no sense to me. It never has, and it never will. As a Clemson fan, I have never understood the conference stuff. It made no sense to me, except college football. And it's not everybody football. Alabama fans don't care about the rest of the SEC. Why? Because they've accomplished so much over the years. Florida State fans don't care about the ACC. Why? Because they've accomplished so much over the years. But then when you get a South Carolina fan or a Vanderbilt fan or an Arkansas fan, a fan of a team that can't win diddly squat, they want to bring up conference stuff because they can't win. So they feel like it's a consolation prize and a consolation trophy to bring up what another team in the conference did. Hey there, Sam. Glad to have you here. And I bring this up because earlier in the week, might have been last week, Randy McMichael, and if you're a long-time college football fan, you know that name. Hey there, Eugene. Glad to have you here. But Randy McMichael was a tight end for Georgia back in the day. Now he does a daily radio show on the best sports talk station in the South, in Atlanta. He's on every day, and they were talking about college basketball, and if he was upset about, no SEC team, being down there, at the Final Four or whatever. And he said, no, I don't care about the SEC. If it's not the Dogs, I don't care. And I thought, why can't every fan be that way? I've always said that. Clemson doesn't get anything if another team in their conference wins something. They don't get a trophy. They don't hang no banner. They get nothing for another team winning something. I've never understood it. So when I heard Randy McMichael say that, I thought, man, that's actually a smart Georgia fan. And then when I hear that, I remember that stuff, because a smart Georgia fan, that's kind of an oxymoron. So when you see one or hear one, you kind of remember it. He said, I don't care about the SEC. If it ain't the Dogs, every sport and every team. When Florida State won the national championship back in 2013, I didn't go to Clemson and see a banner hanging up that said Florida State national champions. Why? Because it didn't benefit Clemson. I've never understood it and never will. But now the SEC is going to change their tone, because they've been wanting to toot their own horn for years and say, we're the best conference, we're the best conference, we're the best conference, even though who cares who the best conference is. But now Brett McMurphy last week said that the SEC finally has to concede and realize they're no longer the best conference. The best conference now is the Big Ten, and it's not close. And if you think about it, the reality of it is it's not close. But again, who cares? I don't care about a conference. I want my team to be the best. I don't give a darn if they join the Mountain West. I still want them to be the best. I don't care about the rest of the conference. And there's also people trying to, hey there, Natasha, glad to have you here, trying to implement a new rule now in college athletics. I hope it passes. That now they're going to let you only be in college 5 years and play athletics. And that's the way it should be. Nobody comes out of high school and said, you know what? I think I'm going to go to college and play football for 8 years. I mean, you pretty much know when you go, if you're going to play a sport, you're going to play for 4 or 5 years. To me, that's pretty much common sense that in 4 or 5 years, you're going to be no longer playing that sport. But now, because of this whole stupid NIL transfer portal thing, you've got kids wanting to play football 8 or 9 years because they can keep playing and making that money, and you're making more money now in college football with the NIL stuff than you're making in the NFL. So why go to the NFL? Well, if you don't want to go to the NFL, don't go, but you shouldn't be allowed to stay in college football till your grandpa you're playing college football. That's stupid. So now they're trying to pass a rule to where you can play 5 years and that's it. But I think what upsets fans more than anything is not the fact that you've got these players playing college sports for 75 years now. It's the fact that they don't have the same rules across all teams and all sports. Now, granted, if your favorite team has a quarterback in his 12th year, you don't care because it's your team. But if it's another team and he's in his 6th year, then you don't like it because he's been in football too long. You know, you like it as long as it benefits your team, but you don't like it when it don't benefit your team. But you see, Joey Aguilar went and tried to get another year of eligibility, and he got turned down. But yet, the Ole Miss quarterback, Trinidad Chambliss, who's been in football just as long as Joey Aguilar, he went to get an extra year, and he got it. It's two different players, the same situation, the same scenario, trying to get extra years that neither one of them need, but one got it and one didn't. It makes no sense. If you're going to let one play, you got to let both play. If you're not going to let one play, you've got to let neither one play. So I understand people getting perturbed because of the fact, you know, the rules are different and it has nothing to do with, you know, the team like that. It's just whatever they want to do. And that's one of the main issues because they can just pretty much make their own rules. But to me, you ought to know that when you go play a college sport, you're not going to play 10 years. Nobody ever says, I don't think I'm going to play college baseball. I think I'll play till I'm 60 in college. You don't do that. And I forget what player it was, but I heard the other day on the radio that some player tried to go before a judge and asked to get a 7th year of eligibility. And the judge said, no, you've got enough common sense to know that when you graduated high school to go to college, that you didn't think you were going to play college football for 7 years. You knew when you went, you were going to play 4 or 5 years. So, no, I'm not giving you an extra year. And that's the way it should be across the board. I don't care for who it is. It does not matter to me. If anybody ever wants to play 10 years at Clemson, I'm going to say that's a stupid idea. You shouldn't do that. Yeah, you're right, Eugene, but the problem was he didn't play 5 years before he left. He played for a couple of years and then went to the Air Force, Army, Navy, something like that. That's different. He didn't play 4 or 5 years. He played a couple of years before he graduated. He left to go to the Air Force. Then he came back. Now, had he played all 5 years, then this time should be up. I remember years ago, maybe I'm showing my age now. I hope not. But years ago, Florida State had a quarterback named Chris Winkie. And you can't forget a name like Winkie, but Florida State had a quarterback named Chris Winkie. And I think he was 28, if I'm not mistaken. And Oklahoma State had a quarterback named Brandon Whedon, and I think he was 27 or 28. And people were up in arms. There's no way you should be allowed to be in college that long. But nowadays, people are like, oh, it's fine. It just shows how people have changed over the years. 20 years ago, when Chris Winkie does it and Brandon Whedon does it, it's wrong, dumbest thing ever. Now somebody does it, oh, no big deal. They do it. And we try to bend the rules and make some excuse and find a way to let this kid play football till he's 112 years old. And you shouldn't. Either play in the NFL or play your 5 years of college football or college baseball, whatever you play, and move on about your life. But now they think since they get paid, which is another bad reason why these players shouldn't get paid, but now they think since they get paid, they can stay in college until their grandparents, and that's just not right. But on to the Heisman Trophy talk. These are the 10 names I wrote down. I think one of these 10 is going to be your Heisman winner. Now, of course, I have not cared about the Heisman Trophy since 2003. 2003, it broke me on the Heisman Trophy. I'll never care about it again, but I know that even though I don't care about it, people in general care about it. So that's why I talk about it, but it could go away tomorrow and I wouldn't care. But we got Dante Moore, Arch Manning, CJ Carr, Jeremiah Smith, Julian Sayin, Sam Levitt, who of course is now at LSU, Gunnar Stockton, Malachi Tony. I do too, Eugene. I was talking to a friend of mine that called me today that I have not talked to in probably 10 years, maybe a little longer. And him and I were talking about it, and I told him how I just miss football being football. But you have to adapt because unfortunately now that it's changed, and this is where we are now, we're not going back because once you start paying players without any parameters and without any rules, you done crossed the barrier. You ain't going back. So now we're not going back to the way it used to be. So now I'll sound like an old grumpy curmudgeon old man by saying I miss old football, but we have to either adjust and adapt or get out. And I'm not going to stop watching college football, but I'm always going to miss the way it used to be when it was all about the love of the game and not the love of money. But once you let people get money involved, it ruins it. And the final two names are Brendan Sorsby, who of course used to be at Cincinnati. Now he's at Texas Tech. And then we have Darian Mensah, who was at Tulane, and then Duke, and now Miami. So I think that Dante Moore, Arch Manning, CJ Carr, Jeremiah Smith, Julian Sayin, Sam Levitt, Gunnar Stockton, Malachi Tony, Brendan Sorsby, and Darian Mensah will be your top 10 candidates. Any thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. By the way, Dr. Dumbnut, I just saw your comment. Appreciate your comment. And Eugene and Dr. Dumbnut, I think it's the first time I've seen y'all's names in the comment section. If this is y'all's first time being here, for whatever reason made y'all stop by the channel, thank you very much. Feel free to give the video a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. But let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. Installing water heaters can be a tankless job. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your